So we've had the conversation and focused on what businesses can do better, what academia can do better, what civil society and citizens obviously can do better. But the missing element from all of this is what governments can and should do a lot better with respect to their citizens. Let's dig a little deep into that topic. I'm now joined by Vincent Chin, Boston Consulting Group. You're the global leader for the company's public sector practice, which essentially puts you really at the front lines of trying to figure out how governments can do better. Based on what we've discussed here over the last 72 hours, what are the main things you're seeing that governments can do to deliver services a lot better to their citizens?
Well, we have a framework of how to ensure governments deliver. And when we devised that framework, we did a lot of research. We looked at governments that have delivered, and we look at governments that have not. And we figured out what is important and what is missing. And let me describe that framework to you. 3 Ds. First is to dare to dream.
Yeah.
Second is about designing the policy. And third is to drive to deliver. The problem with a lot of governments that don't deliver is one of these mountains, one of these peaks are not scaled. You have to do all three. You
So you
can't
have
just
to dream, you have to design the policy,
see, and then you have to
deliver
Yeah.
effectively.
So there are governments that are very good at coming up with lofty aspirations, that's the dreaming part, but then somehow when it's translated to policy, it doesn't get right, and sometimes they get translated to policy, but they don't deliver. So what are the key aspects of each one of these? And let me describe the first one, in daring to dream. I think right now, a lot of governments in the world are operating on a trust deficit. And you can see that the voting patterns of the population, and not just in Africa, it's around the world, right? They are voting to change the status quo. They're voting for somebody who does not represent good old politics.
Yeah.
Right? I think what government needs to do, or any party wishing to be in government, they need to really engage the people, understand what they need, put the gorilla in the room, on the table, and discuss that.
But how do you rebuild that trust deficit? Because in a lot of the governments that we're dealing with here in sub-Saharan Africa, citizens have endured decades of slowly eroding public services. Hospitals don't work, so you go to a private clinic and a private hospital. Public teachers are not in public school, so you take your child to a private education system. So there's this entire ecosystem that's built around surviving without the state being involved. But here we are talking about bringing the government back into the conversation. That's a pretty hard thing to do.
So I think government needs to pick on one or two things to restore that legitimacy. They don't have to try and tackle everything. But I think the people are upset with the governments because they haven't even tried to earn the right, earn the trust back. So I think that's that legitimacy that is very important in this dream part. So dream is not just about setting an aspiration.
Yeah.
You need to gain legitimacy and you need to gain their trust. So it means tackling issues that you recognize the people care about.
Right.
And in today's world with digital applications, it is very easy to poll your citizens and actually engage with them real time. In New Zealand, they've gone as far as actually putting government white papers online, freely available to every citizen in New Zealand, and they can comment on that policy as it's being formulated.
So it's almost like putting a document on a Facebook profile and saying, okay guys,
Exactly.
this is what we want, give us your comments.
Crowdsourcing,
Right.
So that's the
dreaming and
that's the
execution
dreaming part. And then that's the policy part.
Yeah.
And the problem with a lot of policy design, it's sometimes ignores evidence and facts. So we've got data available. I think government really needs to make sure that they do empirical, evidence-based policy design. And a lot of that needs to feature two things now. One, they need to design for value. And number two, they need to design for citizen centricity.
Can you give us very quickly examples of low-cost, high-impact ideas that you've proposed to your clients that have been executed that would actually translate quite effectively to a lot of the economies here?
There are very good examples out in East Asia. If you think about Singapore, if you think about Malaysia, right? Singapore Sovereign Wealth Fund is Temasek. Malaysia Sovereign Wealth Fund is Khazanah. They are well run by professionals, not by government employees. They are private sector employees. This is a holding company. The Sovereign Wealth Fund is actually a holding company that it's got a private sector board, and a private sector management.
Yeah.
And then they hold the state-owned enterprises. So the state-owned enterprises are one level removed from government. And so they can run, an example is Singapore Airlines.
Yeah.
It runs like a private
Entity,
enterprise,
yeah.
and it competes with the best of them on that basis.